Okay, I bought these solar panels on eBay. Paid $450 for 7 panels, which is actually a good buy. Alright, we're gonna see what we got going here. Most people want to charge batteries with these things and then use electricity later on that day. That's actually inefficient to do that. So what I did is I built this circuit right here. This is crystal controlled. This will take 120, it's 122 volts unloaded on the solar panels. And I'm taking that and I'm chopping it and turning it into a square wave, which you can see on the scope. What you got to do is divide. This is 2.4576 megahertz. Just keep dividing it down. Here I have a flip-flop. So it's symmetrical, the square wave. And this is a divide by 10. That's to come out even. What you do is you divide it down to get 120 hertz. And then when you do the flip-flop, it'll give you 60 cycles. Okay, because we're chopping this, we got 4 power FETs on a heat sink. What we're doing is we're turning them off and on so we can switch DC into AC. There are no transformers other than there's a small power supply to run the FETs for the 10 volts on the FETs, and of course the optical isolators isolates that. And of course you can see right now the sun's going down behind a cloud, and we still got enough power to run the oscilloscope. A lot of people believe that when the sun goes behind the cloud, you don't get any power out of your solar panels. But you still do. You get I get roughly about 400 usable milliamps out of these, which is, I believe, close to 50 watts. And that runs the oscilloscope. Now when the sun comes out, I'm going to fire up this 300 watt light. If I try it now, you can see this scope will die because it's not enough power to run that. So we'll wait till the sun comes back out. Let's see what the DC value is. If you look at the square wave, you'll see there's actually a dead band here. I'll stretch this out. There's a turn-off point. It's equal to 5% of the waveform, and of course you got 2 of them in a sine wave, so there's going to be 10%. We have 10% when the solar panels are actually shut off. So what you do, you don't want to waste that power, so we're going to charge up a big capacitor. So when this is actually off for that 10%, we're charging this capacitor, and what that'll do is it'll make up at the start of the square wave. You're going to get a slight larger glitch, and it's going to kind of ramp down a little bit. It's not really noticeable. It works out just great now. I'm going to shut this off, wait for the sun comes back up. Here you can see we got 102 volts DC in the shade. There's no sun on the panels right now. And 102, and that's still running the scope. If I were to shut the scope off, okay, now we're up to 106.5. Okay, if you take your solar panels and you charge 12 volt batteries, you would take all these panels here and put them in parallel, and that's going to give you roughly close to 30 amps, which is going to be really thick wire going down into the house, and that's going to cost you quite a bit of money. Alright, if you take these solar panels and you put them all in series, now you got only 4.8 amps but 122 volts, and you can just use like 12 gauge wire coming down into the house, and then of course and then you chop it into your square wave for anything that requires AC. You can run a lot of things like compact fluorescent lights will run on DC, so you want to run just the DC and things like that. But if you want to run your big screen TV, then you can chop it. You can use square wave into that. This is actually running really efficient. I doubt if this is drawing 5 watts. There's nothing getting warm on it. The heatsink doesn't get warm at all. And this power transistor is the only thing that powers the whole circuit. It's a voltage regulator. And that's just a tiny bit warm. If you charge your batteries, you lose roughly 35% of your efficiency, and then if you were to use an inverter to get that electricity back, you're going to lose another at least 15%. So you lost 50% of your power by charging batteries and using it later on, and you don't want to do that. You want your power back. You want all the power you can get from your solar panels. So this is actually the best way to do it, is to chop your voltage right up and use it right away. Okay, right there's our 5% deadband, and if you look at this slope of that, you can see the capacitor causes that to be a little bit higher than down this way. So this is going to be discharging as it's on, and then when it shuts off, it charges the capacitor up. And of course you can see we got 300 watt load plus the scope running on the sun right now. Turn that on. A lot of people don't know this, but you never get your money back on these solar panels. My electricity is 16 cents kilowatt, and it'll take about 7 years for me to pay this off, but that is only with a tracking system. If you don't follow these panels directly at the sun, you're going to lose a lot of efficiency. And if you were to buy these panels brand new, it would take you roughly 21 years, I figured, to pay them off with a tracking system, and using this method of chopping your AC and getting almost 100% efficiency out of your panels. It'll still take you 21 years to pay it off. Now if you live in the city where it's only like 10 cents a kilowatt, it's going to take you roughly 30 years to pay off your panels. So you're not really saving any money by buying solar panels, because they will not last 30 years.